Hey, Sweet Master, how you doing?
All right, I'm doing good. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm doing better after our talk. I'm doing much better after our talk.
Yeah, we had a really good conversation, didn't we? And
Yes, we did. Yes.
it was a little long overdue. Sometimes it just takes that one conversation and then, you know, it was
Yeah,
a whole hard.
you hit so many points that things that I didn't even bring up to anybody else. Like you was just on it. But so my question is, it's about an experience I had a while ago. Actually, I believe it was around the time before the first Golden Chariot. Very interesting experience, and I couldn't make nothing of it. So I'm asking you about it. So one night I was resting, I was sleeping, and I awoke to some chatter, but I was in a room by myself. So I'm asking, where's this chatter coming from? So as I'm waking up out of my sleep to turn around, something tells me, keep your eyes closed, don't move. I did exactly that. I hear two voices. One is a deep, robotic sounding voice speaking some unknown language. I have no idea what he's saying. Second voice speaking another unknown language, but I get the feeling that this second voice is me. Both of the voices are conversating back and forth. Um, and I wake up more. As I wake up more, the deep robotic voice stops talking and he says something to the other voice. I have no idea what they say, but I get the gist of it. Something like, oh, he's waking up. We need to go. So that happens for another 2 seconds. They stop talking and I literally hear dial tone. I hear dial tone. I open my eyes and I'm looking around my room, completely dark, nothing there. And I'm like, what was that? And like I said, this was around the first Golden Chariot. So this was maybe about 3 years ago.
Yeah, because the first Golden Chariot was September 2018 in Miami. So was it during that same year? Was it months and months before, or just before the Golden Chariot?
I want to say maybe 3 months prior.
Okay. So your question is like you want to know, what the experience was?
Yeah, what was that? Who were the two voices? Like that, if I was sleeping and I was a recording, that's one thing, but I was fully awake and I'm hearing two full blown voices, clear as day.
Right. Okay, so one of the things that I would say, it's two things. And I don't want to freak anybody out. For clarity's sake, say what it sounds like to me. I have heard of this before. And one of the things, and this is for all of you, when you're sleeping, your consciousness is shifting. Back in the days, we had televisions. Back in the 70s and 80s, we had channels that you literally had to turn a knob on to switch the channel. And when you are resting and when you're sleeping, your consciousness is automatically, there's an automatic dilation that your consciousness shifts channels within a certain structure. As a result of your consciousness doing that, you're going to pick up different bandwidths. Depending on how developed you are or how developed you are not, that is what will determine how many channels you can pick up on, which is the reason why lots of people do a myriad of things to extend their ability. Back in the days, people had rabbit ear antennas, or sometimes people had what do they call that? Blu-ray allows you to have a much better quality. Sometimes people would have an antenna, a round dish on the roof of their house so that they can get satellite. Your consciousness, depending again on how well developed it is, what it is that your consciousness may be studying at the moment, it's going to switch different channels. What it sounds like to me is that you are being studied by a certain off-world intelligence. Why do I say that? The robotic voice is something that is a capitulation to certain types of extraterrestrials that are not from here, that don't have mouths to speak. Those extraterrestrials, a lot of people wonder why certain of the extraterrestrials don't have mouths. This is because they've evolved way beyond the point of needing one. They do not eat, they get their sustenance from other things. They do not speak the way that we do. Our human form is still very primitive. Some of you may say, well, then why is it that the gods still have mouths? Well, certain higher beings have mouths because they choose to. They don't even need to speak at all because they can transmit data from many different places in their consciousness. They could do it through the elements. They could stand there and just look back at you, and just look back at you, and they could transmit 10,000 miles away, 10,000 miles away, like a locomotive. There are many different ways in which to do that. So the robotic voice that you heard most likely is an extraterrestrial that is using some kind of speech box to communicate with another, let's just say, being or entity that is studying you for a particular reason. Now you might be wondering, why is it that, why me? Why would I be studied? It's really no different from if you're walking down the block minding your business and you see a dog that is extremely well manicured. That's going to get your attention. That's going to make you take a second look. Back in the days when I was a teenager, and even in the 70s, it was a lot more prevalent for people to see poodles that had long hair, like a doobie, like how Snoop Doggy Dogg does when he combs his hair out and it's like blown out and it's just like this right here. Dogs used to have that, and it was a status symbol for some people. So we're really no different. Not that we're show ponies or we're poodles in the street, but based upon what it is that you're studying and the things that they see within your consciousness, it does get their attention. They may want to know, why does he have a cosmic beacon? Why does he have a system of these equations of words of power and sequence of power? We want to know. We want to look inside of your mind and see what's going in there. Why is there a superimposition of Balder over you? How do you know about that? You're not supposed to know about that. You're an earthling human. You're an EH. So they will come and they will wait until you are sleeping and you might be in beta state, and they'll just watch you and they'll go through the files of your consciousness and they'll be amazed. And then they may say, hey, our world is dying and we want to borrow some of his energy and make a copy of him and add him to our race of people, because different extraterrestrial races come down to this world, and this really is like it's a supermarket in a lot of ways, because we have the DNA of so many different star races here. That most likely, Branson, and I could talk about this for the rest of the night, but I won't. That most likely is what it is. You are protected. They cannot hurt you. They're not going to take, as a lot of people happen, sometimes they'll just house you. They'll take your whole body. They'll take a copy, they'll take the most part of you and they'll leave a dead physical container there, but your car, they'll take that and they'll take it to their world, or sometimes they'll traffic you, or they'll take you somewhere completely alien and you will be a walk-in soul in that world. And they'll do this for their own many different reasons. Again, this is the reason for their own many different reasons. Again, this is the reason why we want to have different waves and different stations of protection. They also see that you have that as well, Branson, and they're like, yeah, we can study him, but we can't just house him like that. We can't just steal him. We can't just take his own. And that's most likely what it is. Again, to all of the students, you guys have a connection I've given you Yamantika. Make sure you connect with him every night before you go to bed, because every kind of protection you can afford yourself to have, especially before you go to bed, it ensures that you don't wake up with a disease from a discarnate soul or a cohabitation that wanted to, touch that. There's so many different sloppy, ridiculous things that don't have to happen if people would just open their minds a little bit and avail themselves to the wonders of what is attainable. All right. So I hope that answers your question, Branson. All right.
Thank you, Srimasa. I appreciate it.
You are totally, totally welcome.